Can't I see myself? Okay.
Hi, Bernice.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
I was
Okay.
wondering, thank you so much. I was wondering if he's back. I could switch around. I don't know. Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am. This is okay.
Fine.
Yes, it's okay.
Fine.
Yes.
All right. I've
Okay.
invited my colleague Regina to help me share the the slides as I talk. Yeah. So
Okay, ma'am. I'll be able to do that.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. So Bernice will be anchoring today. She was a mentee at the first session that we had during the first quarter. So she'll be anchoring today.
hi,
Okay.
Dennis.
Yeah. Hello, Mark. Good evening. Good afternoon. Okay. We should wait for Juliana.
Otherwise, we
I
can.
think we should wait for. Okay.
About uh, well, Regina is not here.
Okay, maybe we can start. Maybe she's having problem joining because she was the one that requested for you to send the link, and you know the problem with Nigeria. Yeah, we can start, but it's just that I wish. Can you ask her to send to you? Can you share for me? If I knew, we would have sent it to you. Let me see if I can get it. Huh?
Yes, ma'am. Um,
Otherwise, we can start. Let's just start.
Bernice, so you can start.
Yeah. Then after they can. I don't know. So by the time they share the slides, then people can catch up. Just that I wanted people to catch up. That's the only reason.
Okay.
Okay.
Share the slide, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Bernice Asien, and I'm a lawyer practicing in Lagos. I was a previous mentee at the last quarter. So I'll be anchoring today's session.
Thank you.
Yeah. The Jiipcc Mentorship program is a quarterly intellectual property program for law students, young lawyers, and intellectual property enthusiasts across Africa. Mentees are afforded opportunity to access valuable intellectual property advice, training, network, mentorship, internship, discuss forums, industry updates, and resource material from experienced IP mentors. This program seeks to encourage the continuous intellectual property training, development, and evolution in Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large. You can watch all our videos by searching Jiipcc on YouTube and Facebook. The objective of this program is to provide access to intellectual property guidance, materials, source materials for students, young lawyers, and IP enthusiasts across Africa. We also facilitate dialogues and network among experienced intellectual property practitioners and stakeholders. We also facilitate internship, scholarship, and IP-related job placement for mentees. So today we'll be discussing about anti-counterfeiting. And the mentor that we have today is Mrs. Uche Nwokocha, a partner at Aluko and Oyebode. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, you can.
She's a Harvard alumni that joined the firm in 2003 and was admitted to partnership in 2008. She has experience in trademark clearance and exploitation, patent, dispute resolution, franchising, technological transfer, product registration with NAFDAC. After graduation from Nigerian Law School, Nwokocha gained Masters in International Diplomacy in 1997 from the University of Lagos. She heads the Intellectual Property Department of the firm and advises local and international clients on a full range of brand-related matters, including the licensing and franchising of technology transfer agreements with NOTAB. She has featured she has been featured by the Legal Business Africa as one of the 20 outstanding Nigerian women in business law for 2021. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay.
Okay. She has been featured by the Legal Business Africa as one of the 20 outstanding Nigerian women in business law for 2021, recognized as a leading patent and trademark practitioner by the World IP Review Leaders 2021 Guide, and listed among the 11 individuals ranking across 5 main practice areas that are researched and evaluated by the Chambers Global for Nigeria for 2021. She was ranked among the 2020 World Trademark Review 1000 top 250 women in IP for 2020 by Managing Intellectual Property MIP, which also named her as an IP star from 2016 to 2020, and in 2019 by the World IP Review, which has served as a board member of the INTA from 2018 to 2020, and was assigned to the Finance Committee for 2020. She is a secretary at the Anti-Counterfeiting Collaboration Nigeria, and previously chaired the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia Subcommittee of INTA, Anti-Counterfeiting Committee. She represents global brands, including the Coca-Cola Company, GSK, Kimberly and Clark Corporation, and continues to represent FIFA in connection with all FIFA tournaments, including the World Cup 2019 in France. She advised H&M in relation to infringement of its trademark by a local business, and recently got the CAC to direct the infringing company to change its name. She also advised Ricketts and Bancasia and BASF on the anti-counterfeiting and product registration respectively. She continues to bring value to the brand that she represents. WWL says that she is an IP specialist that draws her praise from experts in portfolio management and licensing issues. We are pleased to have you, Ma.
Thank you so much, Bernice, and thank you so much for your kind intro.
Thank you.
Okay, without further ado, I'll just jump right in. The COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting effect has really, and the rise in online shopping and the digital consumption and content has shed new light on the dangers, the damages, and the health hazards posed by the criminal networks, and then the suffering felt by brand owners and businesses that deal with genuine products. The risks and dangers and damages it's posed by counterfeiting cannot be quantified, and everybody is affected. Consumers find it very difficult to distinguish between the genuine and the fake. It happens to the best of experts, even all of us, nobody can really detect. So there's a concern for human and environmental damage done, one, as a result of even producing fake products and then destroying the same. If, for instance, you go to NAFDAC or the other regulatory offices, and then you get, you petition, and then they rule. Usually they carry out their own investigation and tests, and they find out that it's fake. They will have to destroy it, and then it causes environmental design. Unfortunately, my slide is not here, but let me give you in a nutshell the outline. First, I'm going to define what counterfeiting is, and then the introduction. Okay, this slide is there also. So, and the introduction, talking also about the COVID effect, because COVID, it's really the reason that everything really magnified so much. So it shed more light in these activities that have been on underground and people didn't know. But because we are staying at home and 70% of the people now shop online, so we're beginning to see all of this. I will discuss as I go along the reason why some of these problems came up, because as a result of the lockdown, and then all the regulatory offices were closed, they were working from home, so they didn't have the same resources in their houses to be able to monitor all of this. So I go first to introduction. If you can hear me, Regina, please go to the first one, and not introduction, the definition, yeah. Counterfeiting defined. So counterfeiting is copying a genuine product, good, or anything, and then producing a counterfeit, a fake of it, with the sole aim of making economic gain, which you really do not deserve. So it's the fast way to just making money without working for it. The sale of illicit and unlawful goods products is also part of the definition of counterfeit goods. If you import it, you manufacture and you sell it, which is why NAFDAC and SON, especially NAFDAC, and then SON to some extent, you cannot bring products into Nigeria to sell if you don't clear with them, because they want to monitor it and see that NAFDAC will check for they have requirements that they check. Our standard organization will not check standard. There has always been this debate whether if a good passes standard, can SON allow it, even though the brand owner is screaming that this is counterfeit. That debate is going on. But my opinion is that if a product meets the standard, so it depends on the standard. There are so many standards. Even in China, they say that for fake goods in China, they have levels 1 to 10. So you can pass level 1 or 2. It's still, you cannot equate it to the person who genuinely produces it, who has like a distribution channel, and then there are things, structures that they follow. There are hygiene requirements that they do, so that you can't really bring goods and say because it passed standard in SON. So SON standard, does it compete with international standards? So there are other issues. You can't say that because we are a developing society, then we reduce our standard and allow some of these ills to go on. It doesn't make sense. So the challenges of counterfeiting. First, the challenges on the challenges, part of the challenge is that the consumers are looking for bargain, because they will often tell you that, oh, product A is cheaper than C. But then they really don't understand that expensive is good. And if you buy something that is genuine, it can last you for years. I have a skirt that I've worn for over 15 years and it's still as good as new. But if it's like you buy the fake, you wash it tomorrow, the color changes, it starts tearing. So people should really understand that if you invest in what you buy, you can use it for a long time. Brands like St. Michael's in London, Marks and Spencer, my mom had a night dress that, in fact, she practically threw away because it refused to spoil after like 20, 25 years. If you watch, the more you wash it, the finer it becomes. So after a while, you got tired of a particular thing, not because it's not good, but you want to change. But with these counterfeiting goods, all these fakes, you use them, they are good for once. You use them once. Take, for instance, the CD, when they were doing all those 15 CD in one, sometimes you buy them in the traffic, then you get home and you put them, it's blank. So it's really buyer beware. We need to be careful what we buy. And also lack of information on the counterfeiters. People do not know. Like I said earlier, you cannot distinguish between the fake and the genuine product. They really don't know. They are innocent buyers. And also the fact that technology, it's not helping to track down, and then people are not even fast. Some people are not IT savvy. So that also is a problem. You can't detect the fraud or trace it. And internet trade, the online trade and sales, especially during COVID-19, we can never overemphasize it. That is the huge problem because people are sitting at home and then ordering goods. So people are no longer going to the shops. So you don't really have a chance to inspect what you're buying. They deliver it, and then when you get them, you find out that this is not what you bargained for. Next slide, please. Globalization and free trade are the essential elements, really. It helps general welfare and economic growth. However, it also helps the all of these networks, it makes it easier for them to use the established infrastructure by globalization and free trade and all of the infrastructure that all of these established societies. For instance, if you look at Amazon is not a Nigerian company and they're not even based in Nigeria. Recently, they're trying to open an office in South Africa. The people buy from Amazon, So other people that are selling fakes could put their goods. When I get down to the slides, you will see that Amazon has decided to take a challenge and do some things because counterfeiters are really spoiling their business. They mix the counterfeit amongst the genuine. And these are being circulated through the post, courier, and then, so it's becoming a huge problem for brand owners, including Amazon. So everything is counterfeited, including pure water. From pure water to the biggest of brands, LV or Chanel or what have you, and Rolex, everything is being counterfeited. Next slide, please. The effect on customers. Besides impact on health, there's other losses. That is the loss of not getting what you bargained for. If you paid huge money to get something you saw online and it looked good, but you didn't know it was from the dark web, and that sometimes your money will even go, you don't get it back. You get neither your money nor the goods. Then in some cases, they bring you some shabby things that you didn't bargain for. Then the effects on businesses, reputational issues. If I am used to drinking Coca-Cola and I go to the market and I buy Coke and it was something in the bottle, I will be screaming that this is Coca-Cola, their standard has gone down. If I buy something from Amazon and it comes and it's fake, I will blame it on Amazon. So there are reputational issues here. And also the effect on the government. Denied revenue can be used to provide infrastructure. Look at the roads in Nigeria spoiled. If things are done properly and businesses, you have foreign direct investments at some point growing in Nigeria, but now it's going down because businesses are closing to either go to China, to go to Ghana, neighboring countries where their IPs are well protected, or they close completely and go to their national countries. Some of them have gone back to US, Europe, and places like that. So those are the things, these are the people that pay taxes that you could use to provide good roads, medical equipment, schools, water, power, and all of that. But you can't, because the people that are fakers, the counterfeiters, they hide in garages and do their business. They don't pay tax. Sometimes they probably tap other people's lights, people that do genuine business to do that. So they're very greedy. They are not ready to help the government, but they're reaping from the government. So that revenue can be used to do something good for the country. And then on the labor market, job losses. Because if the company closes and leaves Nigeria, of course, your auntie, my uncle, my brother, or somebody who is working in that company is doomed. they've lost their jobs. So these are all the effects, and it affects everybody. So COVID-19 poses new challenges on our economies and the world at large. So for the criminals, as always, it's an opportunity to get unmerited profits, distorted or broken supply chains. Because even companies, when they said, stay home for 2 weeks, what did you think did or happened? The production line, the supply chain, everything is broken. Nobody is supplying. And then your buyers want to buy. And if you don't supply, what do? They get the next alternative in the market that is fake. So that really, COVID-19 really affected everyone. And then as a result of lockdown as well, our regulatory authorities, they were not as efficient as they used to, because they couldn't work from home. And then they were not monitoring. People were bringing fake hand sanitizers. People were even incorporating companies overnight at CAC or some places all over the world and selling so that they can sell, so they can claim that they too can produce hand sanitizer and PPEs and masks. So those are the issues that arose. In one particular case, there was even a brand owner that said that a product that they stopped producing over 10 years ago suddenly surfaced in the market, because the counterfeiters are always looking, finding loopholes, and then they put it out there and they made easy money, and then the company is losing. Illicit trade at the time of, there's a spike between 2020 and 2019 because of that time lapse between March, especially in March, between March and May, when it was really the heat of the pandemic, when there were lockdowns all over the world. So the counterfeiters really, they started smiling to the bank because they were making more money while businesses are shut down and they're at home. Also, the travelers, millions of counterfeit N5 masks were distributed worldwide. Even in America, in some hospitals, they were distributing the fake ones. They didn't know they were fake. To tell you how dangerous this organized crime, how dangerous this is, and if you don't monitor, they can really, so you can even see that most of the people that caught the COVID-19 was because they were probably using the wrong masks, you know, and all of that. And then it came nearer the time when they were opening up travels. Then travelers also can generate negative COVID tests. And then it was all over. There was one that they put on the WhatsApp about Nigeria that they caught. They say it was even a hospital in Nigeria, and the person was caught in UK. But for all you know, it might not be the hospital. So these people will use any name, which is why it is so good to put multi-level security in your business. Because if you're not looking, they will spoil your business. That hospital, they put it everywhere online, saying, but it might not be there. I'm not sure, I don't know. But the way they operate, they look at good names that have reputation to use, so that you, the customer, if you see it, you say this is good, and you can go for it. Well, Interpol, and even with WCO, the World Customs Organization, and with Nigerian Custom, there was a time Chinese Custom had a partnership with the Nigerian Custom just to trace this. So all over, enforcement agencies are really concerned, because now the thing is like taking over. The money from this are used for slave labor, child labor, for terrorist attack and all of that. So because these are monies that you cannot keep account of, because it just goes like that. They do not go through the normal channel because they don't want to be taxed or found. Because you find out that the people that sell online, that if you put your card, they disappear, you can't trace them. You go back again, they shut down the site. So they were happy with what Amazon is trying to do, because what Amazon is now doing is holding those people are accountable. If you bring something to sell Amazon, there are some paperwork that is done. So if it's fake, Amazon has come up with the civil rights, to sue for civil litigation. I know they can't sue for crime because that is left for the state, which is why they were really messing up in Nigeria. People were doing all sorts because they felt that it was just the brand owner would just go to court and it's an infringement. But thank God for the I think is the Cybercrime Act in Nigeria, So with that now, he listed the punishment. You can imagine the Cybercrime Act, they have as the authorities and the committees, they have NAFDAC in it, I think they have Asien, and guess what? They have NSO, which is the National Security Organization or officer. So you can imagine how serious they look at it, because they connect the online activities with money laundering, because people that do that, they take out the money, the foreign exchange, and all of that. So thank God for that act. And with that, it's like it brought respite for brand owners, because as you know, the IPCOM bill has been in the National Assembly, has not been passed into law. If it was passed into law, then things like this will become a crime. Then it will no longer be treated like under the Mercantile Act that is really outdated, where the penalty is probably 100 naira for each day you remain in counterfeiting or infringing of the products or whatever that you're accused of doing. So it's nothing. They can do that and pay the bill. But now you need to hit them where it hurts. You hit their pocket. From my experience, I see that most brand owners that have infringers or that have fakers, counterfeiters faking on their products, when we go after them with all we have, like it's a holistic approach, everybody is involved. They run. In some cases, after we did post-raid survey, and then the market people were saying, leave this product alone, we're not interested, because we took everything, destroyed it. So if you bought it from the big fish who is hiding somewhere under the bridge or somewhere in one garage, you bought from them, they've taken your money, we have taken it from you and we destroyed it. And especially so, if you're a second-time offender, if NAFDAC catches you once, they do what they call undertaking, where you will now sign undertaking and say you won't do that again. But if they catch you the second time, they destroy. So you can imagine putting all your resources to buy a product that is fake and they come and take it and destroy. So some people go out of business. So it's really good that brand owners should fight with all they have, because the fakers are not relenting. They are not saying, oh, it's Mr. A or Mr. B. It's an organized crime and they're doing it together and getting away with it. So brand owners should really come together and find a way to work together. I will discuss it as we go down. So I'd mentioned, okay, before you turned it, that just to emphasize on the point I made, that you can't say it's Pfizer's case or GSK's problem, or you say it's Coca-Cola problem, it's not Pepsi, or you say it's LV and not Chanel, or we've had an instance where we had a seminar and brand owners and the regulatory authorities at each other's throats. The regulatory agencies are saying to brand owners, you're not giving us enough information, which is good. You need to share data so that you can work together to really put this under control. And the brand owners turned around and said, we don't share data with you, because if we do, you leak it. So you can imagine, but we're happy we had that webinar, that seminar, because you had the two parties discussing on the best way to go. So, and they agreed to work together. So In that case, you don't share their information, then they share their information, but don't leak it. So it's a dialogue, you need to do that. It's a holistic approach. You can't really single out. You can't do it alone. It's organized crime, it's huge. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah, so I think I talked about it. Okay, what stakeholders can do. Most importantly, you need to share information with other right holders and other regulatory authorities. You need to trust each other, because if you're fighting a common enemy, you shouldn't really be fighting within yourselves. You must find a way. Maybe put structures in place and to know what information is shared and with whom. So if it leaks, then you can go back. It will just be like having a confidential agreement and knowing whoever that signed it knows that if I leak any information, I'll be sued. So in an informal way, I'm not saying sign a confidentiality agreement, but in an informal way, just have an agreement with the customs. I know some brand owners signed MOU with customs, where customs will help to look at the goods if they have indicators. And then the brand owners will find ways to support custom, maybe run trainings for them. And at ACC, we have done the same thing. We've been running trainings for customs. We did last year. This year, we've done the first quarter. We're about to do the second quarter one. And the custom officers were there and they were happy. And the assistant controller general said to everybody's amazement, we don't need your money. We are well paid. There must be some bad people. Like they talk about police in America or in Nigeria. There are bad eggs, but there are good ones. Maybe some bad people will come and give custom bad name, but they're really helping. For instance, they have an IP unit. So if you have problem with your brand, you go to them. They can help. So we are really happy where Nigeria is going, and we should really encourage our regulators. So you must report detection if you detect anything, or and then also detain goods. If you detain goods, you let the brand owner know so that they will check. We've had a case where custom detained some goods of our clients and they found that they were the genuine. Do you blame them? It's very difficult to distinguish between fake. But we are so happy they alerted our clients who checked and said, okay, it's genuine. They said, okay, write the letter for us to release it. It shows that custom is doing work. And then all the discoveries and destruction. Destruction, like you soon see, also causes damage to the environment. So usually NAFDAC will group them together. In some cases, we've had clients, they want to move fast and quickly. Why do they want to move quickly? Because if you let it slide for a minute or you slow down, some people, the bad goods will find its way back to the market. So our experience and with our clients, it's always like, once you get it, destroy it. If NAFDAC is saying, because of costs, all of these costs, they don't have budget for it. You know how our government, how things, to get money out, it takes a long process, the bottleneck and the bureaucracy. So, and NAFDAC will tell you they group it. So if they got something in January, they're waiting till June or July to destroy. But we say, no, okay, maybe we'll fund it. What will it take? I'm not saying you gave them money, but they give you the cost, what will be used, and because it's not just destroying. If you destroy, you need to clean it because it's harmful to the environment. So you can imagine destroying fake things, maybe that are hazardous, maybe fake chemicals and stuff like that. So you need to secure the place well to make sure it doesn't go out and harm the citizens. Then the Shop Safe Act. It's a collaboration between INTA that I served as a director, and I remember we were working on it. INTA, International Trademark Association, is over 100 years and is being on the forefront of helping brands and countries, national governments, to ensure that IP rights are protected. So they've been working with the US government through what they call the PAC, Political Action Group. So all of the headaches that brand owners are having, INTA will put it together and present it in Washington. I mean, what President Obama did, or even to some extent Trump did, and Biden is trying to do now, is as a result of all these efforts by INTA together with brand owners and regulatory authorities, enforcement officers. And they started putting heat on China, because at one time, China was the big problem. I've been in conferences where we are in a round table and somebody says, I'm from China, everybody will turn and attack the person, because brand owners are really angry and saying, some of them have said in the past that they got a judgment in New York, but the Chinese authorities refused to enforce it in China. That was when their government was like supporting. But immediately the world started attacking them. Even China, I told you that Chinese custom got in touch with Nigerian customs to work together. That tells you, because the reputation for China was being dragged and saying that, you know, their neighbor in South Korea, they don't want to hear anything about Chinese counterfeit things because they are watching. In South Korea, if you buy fake, the buyer and the seller will be arrested on the spot. In France, because France is the home for world famous brands. In France, if you're traveling, you better make sure that if you're carrying Louis Vuitton, that you have your warranty and all those cards that you know, to show that this is genuine. It's always in your purse. I left mine, you don't really take it out, because I've had a story of somebody that was stopped and kept there. The person nearly missed their flight, and they checked with Louis Vuitton and they checked the serial number to make sure that it's genuine. So it is really tough now. Now is World IP Day on the 8th. Chinese, the French people are really on the road. They are doing a lot of webinars, they are doing a lot of studies, they are working with Interpol, with Europol, because this is their business. You know, like you said that Nigeria, our business is oil. This is what we sell. That's what the main thing we do. For them, it's all those brands. So they really don't joke with it. You need to be careful. They don't tolerate fake and all of that. So what can be done? Together we stand. I mean, we say that all the time. So there must be a holistic approach. I cannot overemphasize it. I've said it over and over again. Parties must work together. Exchange of information amongst regulators, especially between customs and brand owners, because custom is the first, it's like when you come into an office and the front office that you see, custom is the first place that the goods will touch down. And I know for a fact that some brand owners signed MOU with them. So some of them are doing that, because there's what is called custom records. In developed economies, we don't have it, which means that custom, like the trademark registry, we keep record of you come and register your genuine products, they know. So that if anything comes in the name of A, when it was registered in the name of B, they will seize it. But we don't have it. There's a lot required to do that, but we are getting there. So with that, the MOU tells them that you want to fight. Like Coca-Cola has zero tolerance for fake and infringement and all of that. They don't, mainly infringement. That's what relates to Coca-Cola most. So if you try to copy their contour bottle or copy their name on the after you, you understand? The same company that did that many years ago, it's also Kodak. Kodak will come after you. If you do Kodak or Kosak or whatever, they'll come after you, because phonetically it sounds like Kodak. So we must really work together to do that and work with customs, because customs will help, not only at the airport and the border, because sometimes things come through Cotonou side borders. So we've had trainings in the border with the customs, because they couldn't come to Lagos. We went there and trained with them. And the brand owners are really trying in Nigeria to make sure there's best practice shared, and then teach people that do not know so that they will be aware. Sharing data, yeah, because you know, investigators are the ones that go into the market to investigate. As a lawyer, lawyers are not trained as investigators. You cannot investigate if you're a lawyer. So if you get the job, then you give to investigators and you work with the investigator and the regulatory agencies. 3, and then work together to help the client. So when the investigators go and do what they call the surveillance, and they buy the goods, maybe buy some spot checks and buy something, and you need to share that data with the regulatory authorities. And sometimes you bring the investigator in the meeting. And sometimes when they want to raid, the investigator will also go and point at the specific shelves. Well, because these people are smart, they keep moving. If you come over and over again to ask for a particular product, they move it because they know that something is fishy. So you need to really meet them at their own game and try to, do whatever you can do to keep it low. We are not saying you can abolish counterfeiting in a day, but that's why we have anti-counterfeiting, because you are anti it, you're not pro. So they are both fighting, and this war must be won, because for everybody, you and I, the government, you see the effect on everybody. Everybody is suffering it, so we must all work together. So the intermediaries, such as the e-commerce, which is they must cooperate with all stakeholders, which is what Amazon is doing is good. Apart from the Shop Safe Act, Amazon is also doing something. Other brand owners should try and do that. So they should monitor even the online, if they're online, to make sure that things do not infiltrate. Monitoring dark web, illicit art. For COVID, it was too much. First, it was the masks, it was the tests, the fake tests that they carry, COVID tests and all of that, PPEs. None is the vaccine. Unbelievable. They will always tell you that they always like advertise that all of those bad things, because vaccine is also the easiest way to make money now. So a lot of them are charging, even though some governments are not charging for you to do that. Some of these people are charging to do that. I think we have a picture somewhere. I thought we had a picture. Okay, we've taken it out because we had a picture of the fake vaccine that is being shared by authorities to warn people to be. I have mine, but I won't share it because you never know. Because it's really very sensitive. You don't know who is watching. It's so bad, the extent that people will go to make money, including vaccinating people with fake vaccine, knowing that it will not get the desired result. It's most unfair. And I don't know whether the people that do this, whether they don't have a heart. It is, if you can do it and even do it with health, and especially a thing that kind of forced the whole world for over a year, and you don't have sympathy that businesses are crashing, and you could really sidetrack this good deed that the pharmaceuticals like Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and all of them that came up with vaccine under very short period to keep this COVID that has killed over 1 million people, more than 1 million people all over the world. If people could really do this, there is no end to what they can do. It's terrible. So this monitoring of dark web is very good, so that you monitor and take them down. So there must be a holistic approach. All parties must get together to stop this, at least to stop people dying. If COVID did not kill you, now the vaccine will not, it's most unfair. So something has to be done. Then blockchain is good news because it's part of the solution. It adds another level, in fact, a top level of security, even though consumers will not see it, but business owners know. And then free trade zone, we have one in Lekki, so it's a good thing. It opens up economy for a nation. It helps the host country as well as the host company that will benefit. We know in Dubai, every time people will say that, oh, a lot of fake things are coming from Dubai, it's because it's the free trade zone. Things are coming from China, from India, from everywhere, land there, and then on to Africa. So it's very difficult, even though free trade zone is good. It's good, it will help an economy. It's telling you that, oh, if this is for this, then you don't pay tax, you don't do that, you don't do that. But then the organized crime, the networks, they have found a way to also use it to bring in their fake products. So there has to be a transparency. There's always an issue of people coming in with goods is mislabeled. So if for instance, orange is allowed into the country, they label it as orange, and actually it's apple in it, because apple, just for the sake of argument, I'm not saying this is the case, just because it was apple in it, so they label it orange. So mislabeling is also becoming a big issue. So there must be surveillance, and because they're concealing everything, that not letting you know what they're carrying. So if the customs are not aware, thank God for all the trainings that the brand owners are giving to custom authorities and other enforcement agencies, to giving them indications what to look for and find. Otherwise, the custom, they have no way of knowing that you checked in apple and you said it was orange. They will say, but now they are checking. You need to open and see. There's a transnational meeting and agreement going on between the US Home Office and countries both in Africa and Asia, NGOs, because also NGOs is another thing. If you say that, oh, it's not for profit, non-governmental agency, organization, you know, and people respect it. Remember how people used to respect, like, and we still do, Catholic priests or priests general or pastors, and people start using them. It's terrible what the counterfeiters do. They see a good thing and they buy it. So that's what they do. So with NGOs, they do good things. Charity organizations were doing good things. But during COVID, do you know how many charity organizations that came up overnight? They will tell you to give them money that they want to bring in masks for your nationals. You give them, the money disappears, or they bring in the fake one. It is terrible. So with all of that, there should be transparency, and we must share the information with customs so that customs can stop some of these goods and inspect and see. Those are the things that can be done, you know, to really help solve this problem, or at least minimize it. And that will be all from me. Thank you so much for listening and for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ma, for this enlightening session. Wow, I've learned a lot. My book is full. Okay, Ma. So it's time to go to the question and answer session, but personally, I have 2 questions. Ma, what's the difference between counterfeiting and piracy? Because as a lawyer, I find it difficult in distinguishing the two of them. And my second question is, as what can be done, as a solution to what can be done, do you think that there's a way that brands can be given standard to meet up with as it relates to quality? I'll use this example. When I was in law school, we had people who sold this, law school sold books directly from the author to us, and it was more expensive, but some of us bought the book. But we had other people who bought books from maybe Alaba and all of that. It was cheaper. But then I realized that the law school book got spoiled, almost like you see that the book is already losing thread and it's pouring away. You can't even use it for a long time because the book is already getting out of the body and all that. But then those people who bought in Alaba, it looked like the quality that they had was higher than the one that was bought directly from the person who has IP. So do you think that it's possible to, you know, have a standard that brand owners can meet up with so that we don't have this issue of substandard being the one with the IP, while those people who do not have IP then, you know, have high quality more than the brand owners?
Thank you so much. I'll take the last one first. But of course, we have standard. That's why we have the Standard Organization of Nigeria. And then we have NAFDAC. Then even for advertising, you have the advertising, there's some, an organization in Nigeria that manages advertising generally, apart from the advertising that NAFDAC. Because with NAFDAC, if you want to register a product, there's a process for you, apart from the certificate of the product. They give you a certificate to advertise even the product, because they want to know that what you're advertising is what it is, what they approve. So you must give them either the pilot of the adverts, and they review it that it meets. If you do that and are watching, and also with advertisements in Nigeria, there are provisions, there are guidelines, there are things you cannot advertise, like alcohol during the day. You do it at night. So there are structures in place. Now, if people choose not to do that, how do you force people to behave well? You might have some bad heads in these organizations that cut corners and don't do things the way they need to do. That's why you and I, we must be our own watchdog. So you need to watch. If you see anything, write them down online. You could tell them. But for the case you presented, have you really imagined that it could be that it was not from that company, that it must be somebody using their name to do that? Because it will really be hard to see a company with reputation, with their hard-earned resources, and they've built on their brand to do that. Well, you probably just let it slide because you were in law school. But now, or maybe we should share it even with people in law school. There was a time we were doing things with students in school, catch them young. Because say, for instance, cigarette smokers, if they start early, it's very difficult to stop them. So that's the way it should be with counterfeiting. You get the Gen Zs and then appeal to them and tell them that, oh, it's not, because some people will tell you, oh, I'm going to buy the cheap one. These corporations are making so much money off us. Tell them, it is not just making money off you. The people you're buying their own, apart from the fact that the good is bad, they're using it to fund terrorism, to attack you and I. So you need to appeal to their conscience and then let them look and see what you're doing. So I think the thing is that buyer beware. And if there's a problem, speak. If I buy something that is not good, I follow through. I will write. There was a time we did something with the airline in Nigeria to give us refund. It took a while, but I stayed on it because Nigerians will try something and they give up. No, I stayed on it because it's my hand money. So I followed through. It took 3 months, but they gave me my money back. So we should try to let people bring it, because you might be talking to people that don't have authority or like sabotaging your effort. Take it on, keep writing, keep all your evidence, and all that. We should really make Nigeria better. It's you and I that will do that. So as for counterfeiting, counterfeits and piracy, like how you say that trademark is a brand, is a logo, is a word, is a name and all that. And that's, whereas copyright, that trademark is an idea, and whereas copyright is an expression of that idea. That's the same way it is with counterfeit and piracy. Counterfeiting had to do with products. Remember when I was in my presentation, I quickly corrected myself when I was linking Coca-Cola to counterfeiting. No, there are things that have already been infringement, or people are trying to take their design and stuff like that. So with the piracy, they mainly deal with maybe the books, records, or CDs. People are pirating your work. So they take your work and they really go and produce some of that work, like be CD or books, or what is happening online. It's also piracy with what is happening with DJs online. So you find out that some people are using other people's work and then pirating their work. Whereas counterfeiting, it has to do with the actual product. Somebody bought a fake of a product. So that's the difference between the two.
Thank you so much, Ma. Please, who has a question? Daniel Akinwali. You can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma, for that insightful session. I actually have learned a lot from the session, Ma. But I just want to ask, because I think corruption is a big thing. I just finished listening to a session, and one of the speaker, a foreign speaker, was of the opinion that it was an arbitration session, that one of the reasons why they cannot recommend African arbitrators is because of corruption. Now I want to ask, of course, an African arbitrator was livid and peeved with that comment. But I want to ask, don't you see corruption as a challenge to the fight against counterfeiting, especially from the regulator, from the side of the regulator? I'm sure brand owners will do everything they can to ensure that they win the fight against counterfeiting. Don't you think corruption is a major challenge to fight against counterfeiting? That's just my question.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
It is, and it's not only in Nigeria. I am not, what's the word? I'm not supporting it, but I'm just trying to give context that there's corruption all over the world. It's just life. You have good and bad. So there's corruption, and it's affecting us from fighting counterfeiting. There was a time a client of ours wrote and said they read overseas that a particular company in Nigeria gave either cars or something to a regulatory authority. It was a concern for them because they say to us, this is not corruption, this is not bribery. Why are they giving them? So we had to come up with ways to really justify it because we are not there. We don't know why the cars we are given, but we're saying that, for instance, sometimes corporations will support regulatory officers. Oftentimes, when you go on a raid and NAFDAC or other regulatory officers, they don't have a particular boss kept to do that. So we hire a boss for them. We might not give them the money, and they never ask for the money. So we hire the boss, and then they have police personnel, but they don't have enough. So because they have connection with the police for enforcement purposes, so they link, we'll have to buy lunch for the day, you know, that kind of thing. Because even in your office, if you're going to Abuja, that's what they give you, miscellaneous expenses that they give you to, maybe sometimes it's even like official that you book for your lunch, your breakfast, depending on the time you get to Abuja, your lunch, your dinner, if you're having overnight, you know, and the morning. So things like that, when people come to go to the market with you, you need to really make them eat lunch, you know, let them know that they worked for you that day without really giving them physical cash to put in their pockets. And Daniel, is a good question, but this is something that you and I and every other person will have to fight because there are still back heads in every organization. So you start by doing the right thing. I know in my office, you have this thing that we don't bribe officers. But then if it's their birthday, you can send card and send a drink or cake. And if they lost somebody, you can send something, a drink, you know, stuff like that. There is a way to do things. You don't have to really come and they know that. I tell my team, instead of doing what most people do, oh, you have to give money for this. I say, build a relationship. I have relationship with regulators, with trademark registry, and it's not based on work. I call them, I send WhatsApp messages. If there's a forwarded message that is good, I can forward. You need to be careful because these are your regulators. You don't go about sending everything to your boss that you see. But there are things that you see, just to open that connection. I remember when I was in Harvard, we taught network effect is a key thing. Oftentimes, you go for a function, people give you cards, you come back, I do that, you leave it in your purse, you don't even open it, but you are taught, open it that day, right? Do, even if it's a one-liner, do something, open conversation. Some people close it 2 years and they need the person, then you call the person to help you after 2 years. They can't even put a face to your card. Now they don't know because they don't have a relationship. So my point is that these regulators that you think are asking for bribe, they're probably asking you for money for their inconvenience. If you have work that you're supposed to do in 2 months, you suddenly wake up and start chasing them. Can you pass this file? Then they tell you to give them lunch because they're working extra and they're exerting energy and they're closing late. So you need to give them transport money and all that. But if you're doing your work the way you're supposed to do and you have a relationship with them, you go, how are you doing today? Even if you don't have work that day in that office, oh, Mr. Johnson, how are you today? I just came to say hello, good afternoon, sir. Then you pass, they know you. They say, this person is very respectful, that. So they know you. If tomorrow you have a problem with your file and you go, Mr. Johnson, this file has been here for like almost 3 months. It hasn't been opened. Don't you think he will help you? And call his colleague and say, please, I'm sending somebody. So I think it's you and I, all of us, we need to help people to stop asking for bribe by having a relationship with them. And when you have a relationship, they're embarrassed to ask you for bribe because they can't. Because how do you ask your friend for things like that? You can't. You can ask a stranger. Then you can't ask your friend. There are certain things you don't ask your friend. You'll be embarrassed. But if it's somebody you know you will not see tomorrow, then you can say that. So Daniel, is a good question, but we'll all work on it. It really affects it, but then I think Nigeria is slightly better now. We're working on it because also with internet access, because now people are careful because of cancel culture. If they do something, you put it online. Remember them when they were giving vaccine, and then this government officer, or maybe a regulator or legislator or somebody did his vaccine and put it on the WhatsApp. The people now attacking. They say, oh, you're in that sorrow, you're taking it, how about commoners? So people are now beginning to cancel people. So we need to work together without really, if you're making a point or correcting, let it be constructive. Don't just talk to people down and all that. It's dialogue. We need to work with these people. We need them. So we need to work with each other with respect. Did I even attempt to answer your question, Daniel?
Yes, you did, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move over to Dawn Osionwa.
Okay, thank you very much for the session. It was really enlightening. I learned a lot. My question is,
Dawn, you're
please,
breaking.
can
We
you hear
can't hear
me?
you. You're breaking.
Hey, chat,
There's a slow. We can't hear you.
can you put it in a chat for somebody to read? Hey, chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me just start my question.
Okay, the next person is Becca. Becca, you can unmute and ask.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Thank you for the session. Although I missed some parts, I would cover up later. Also, I have 2 questions, and they are quite lengthy. Let me start with this. First of all, Bernice asked you to help distinguish between piracy and counterfeiting, and you stated that counterfeiting has to do more with tangible products, while piracy, it's more like trademark versus copyright idea against tangible products. Now, Ma, please, I would like a clarification between both of them in this regard. Now, in my understanding, what I'm thinking now is, okay, counterfeiting is you copy for example, a fashion brand, you copy the design of their dress, a dress they already made, you make it and you use the same brand's name to sell it. But of course, a lower quality, it's not from them, it's fake. That's counterfeiting. Then you copy, what would it be? Would this also be counterfeiting if you copy that same brand's design, a dress has already been made, you copy it, you make it, but you sell under your own name. So in the first scenario, you are selling with their name, and this other scenario, you are selling under your own name. Because ordinarily, we say, okay, this is an infringement of intellectual property, but would it come under counterfeiting also? That's the first question. Then my second question is, I don't really know if you address this part because I was away for a while. When it comes to the punishment, or so to say, for counterfeiting, I believe it's criminal. It's more criminal in nature. There are penalties and the rest of it. Is there some form of coverage or compensation that goes to the brand, considering that the existence of counterfeit has caused them economic loss? Okay, is there some form of compensation? We know in copyrights, if you infringe someone's copyrights and there's economic gain, the proceeds from that work will go to the owner of the original work. Is there something like that, some sort of arrangement like that in counterfeiting? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. So I'll take the first one. Yes, if you copy the design of a well-known brand or any brand, a design that is not yours, is also counterfeiting. The designs are even more important because know how they say that sometimes presentation is key. So the design, look for instance, the Coca-Cola bottle, sometimes you can touch it, the contour bottle, you just touch it without really, close your eyes and touch it, you know this is Coca-Cola. So if you copy the design, it's also, it's counterfeiting. It's even more than the name, because the word, anybody can say that word. There are some words that are so common, you can't monopolize so many words. If somebody goes to the extent of developing a design, it costs them effort and time. If you do that, we'll tell you to use your name and create your own design. So you still be counterfeiting. Okay, to your second question, very good question. And we've been fighting it. But what the brand owner, it's just like telling somebody to stop something so you can reduce your costs at least. They know they can't get it back, but they are fighting so that the cost does not continue to add. You can imagine if the regulators are telling you to provide resources for them to go and seize the goods, you can see they don't have budget. And it's not only us, all over the world. People, government, to get something out of government is not easy. And oftentimes government, their priorities elsewhere. It's mainly to stay in government. Oh, anything that will make political news, you know, and all of that. So with things like that, you need to really start early. But most brand owners, anything to do with fake and destruction and infringement and all that is time bound. So it has to, you can't wait. If you wait for the government, they will come around and approve that money for them to do that. But by which time the goods would have just gone. So the brand owner, in order to make economic sense, you will quickly, I've had instances where a brand owner, like a manager, was even queried because you delayed. You don't have to delay. You need to cut your costs. You know, you don't have to wait. You're waiting for them to get approval. You must have plan B and think outside the building, as we say now. So you don't have to wait and do everything exactly the way they do it. You must get results. So they don't, even the law, just like you said that in copyright is the law. The law applies everywhere in Nigeria. It's still the law that the infringer must be taxed so that the money can be used to compensate the owner of business. But infringer, oftentimes they don't have money because it's just from hand to mouth. They just, you know, just like everything that is not good doesn't last because they don't pay tax, they don't do that. So they get the money, the way they get it, they waste it. So if you heard that some of them go to prison, we sent some in prison in Abuja over counterfeiting, went to court quickly, NAFDAC sued them, it didn't take time. Then they go to jail. So what do? The big master that was behind him will run away and disappear. You won't get them. So it's the small fish that are using that are suffering. Then after a while, you look at them, they're in prison. It's not even them. Somebody sent them. This money is not coming out. So what the brand owner will say, let's move on. I mean, all over the world, brand owners are complaining, to tell you it's not only in Nigeria, that regulators are telling them to bring money to destroy. I mean, I'm already losing money over this infringement. Now you're also telling me to bring money to destroy the goods that you got. But that's the world we live in. So you made a good point. That's the way, that's the ideal situation. But sometimes things don't happen the way they ought.
Hello.
Question, Rebecca.
Yes, Ma, you answered the questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're moving to Adetola.
Don also asked a question in the chat box, so maybe you can check it.
Okay. Okay, Don was saying that what are the ways that we can recognize a counterfeit product? Because sometimes the original and counterfeit products look alike.
Yeah, it's as if she shared the same brain with me. because that was also what I said. It's very difficult. I can't because I'm not the brand owner. It's not my product. Sometimes I'm being all over. Sometimes I look at a bottle that maybe a sparkling wine. They'll fool me so many times. Then once they copy the get up, if the label is, remember how I was saying they were mislabeling, you know, because those are the way they used to conceal and get out. So if they put the labeling and you look at it, you're shopping. The other day, I think it was last year, I was in a supermarket trying to get hand sanitizer. And the one I saw, wow, looked like one other top brand that I know because the get up was, but I looked and it wasn't. Then I said to my brother, unbelievable. It's not really the same, but the get up is deceptive. If I'm in a hurry, you pick it and put in your bag. So it's, you have no way of knowing. It's only the brand owner that will tell you. Oftentimes when they give us work to go and petition NAFDAC, to go and investigate, to go and destroy and, you know, and all of that, surveillance and what have you, we ask them for the products. They bring it, we actually sit and be looking at it. But I tell you the most things, because as the counterfeiters are advancing, brand owners and experts are not keeping quiet. They found out that part of the things you look at, misspelling. Maybe if the person wants to write Nike, he might put Nike, N-I-K, will miss E because they're in a hurry. Then sometimes the country, you know, they often make mistakes because they really don't know what they're counterfeiting. They just want to make money. They are not aware. They don't know the brand. Sometimes I've seen a place where they took DG and put with another 2 pairs of shoes, a pair of shoes, and then put DG in one and put another name in one. So they really don't care. They're in a hurry to make money. Remember, they don't have a structure. They don't have established staff. And then people that check, you know, like you say that you have almost like a checkpoint, for want of a better word, that you now check before you allow it to go. People don't check, they just do that and dump it. So that's another way. Please beware, when you go to buy, make sure, because you know the brand you're looking for, look at it with your eyes, you will see what they're missing. That is one way to know.
Okay. Adetola, you can ask your question.
Oh, might I add, sorry, to the other one. Sometimes the brand, you know, the brands, like what happened to Lacoste recently, they have things that they make, mostly sports wears and other things. And some people went to counterfeit and did either wristwatch or something. You need to know the brand you're buying, what they make. Even though I know brands are diversifying now, but if they do, they publicize it, you know. But you need to know what that brand, because people just use their name to make anything. So if they are not making what you're used to, then don't buy. You need to investigate further to make sure that it's from the same source. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ma. If Adetola is not present or ready to ask the question, let's move to Regina.
Oh. Our own Regina.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think that's all.
So let me know if Daniel has another question. Okay, Daniel, you can just ask your questions. Okay, has already typed it in the chat box, so you can check it, Bernice.
He asked, what role can lawyers play in anti-counterfeiting?
Okay, in counterfeit. Yeah, what role can lawyers play? It will be for lawyers to advise their clients. The Anti-Counterfeiting Collaboration, the ACC Nigeria, that our firm formed over 16 years ago. We have, because that's what lawyer can do for a lawyer can do. So we started this collaboration where the brand owners will come once a month and sit in the same table with regulators. They share all the issues there. And then the brand owners, the regulators are now asking, how can we help you? So these are things the lawyers can do. The lawyer, you can be a mediator, just be there to help your client, not just filing their trademarks or doing other things. Make sure you do watch service. Make sure you're looking out for your brand interest, that if somebody tries, at least report to your clients. Let your clients say, okay, we don't have budget for this, but let it be that you let them know that this is happening, especially some of them that are international businesses that are not in Nigeria. So you are their eyes. So if you see, if you went to buy tissue paper and you see that Kimberly Clark tissue or the what have you, whatever, you know, that companies are making, you know, and you see, you know it, you use this product, but the next time you went to buy, you saw something that is similar, snap it and then advise your clients. Let them tell you, okay, whoa, it's us, we are trying to diversify, do this. But a lawyer must always be vigilant and do watch service, especially for IP practitioners.
Okay, Ma.
Thank you very much, Ma. So I also have a question. During your presentation, you said something about the inspectors. So I want to know where the inspectors work. Like if someone here has a client and the person wants to start something, where are these inspectors?
Okay, investigators.
Yes, investigators.
Okay, investigators. Okay, so you see, we really don't have is honestly is, I mean, it's, we don't have like a training or a course we say is for investigators and they have this. You go there, like you look for a lawyer, you know where to go, yeah? They don't. But oftentimes retired police officers who have been in investigation, they know all of this. They open offices, and because they have friends amongst the police will likely listen to them. So, and from experience, we like, because I keep saying that even myself as a lawyer, I learned from brand owner client because they share their expertise. You do something like this, they tell you, they get angry that you did this, and you learn that they don't like it, you do it that way, and all of that. So that's the same way these retired police officers do that. We learn from them, they learn from us. We tell them, and it's very important that you, the lawyer, that you're getting an investigator, you must make sure you look at everything they do. Because sometimes they might run off if they don't have experience, run off to go and get somebody who has not counterfeited. Maybe it was something that you don't have a case there. Then you named and shamed them. Of course, they will sue you, or you went to NAFDAC and reported them. So oftentimes, our investigators will send them, go and do this. When they come, you must run it by us. Let us see what you're doing. Don't go about taking other people's things. And they don't understand. You teach them, then they know. So you work together. You don't have them, but we ask around. You know, you have lawyers, you have friends, you could not, if you have something. That's why they say lawyers, God forbid you know all the law, but where to find it. So when you run into you call your colleague, do you know somebody that somebody, you know, and all that, that's the way to know, it's by referral.
Thank you.
Okay, so Paul just joined. Paul, do you have any question to ask?
Okay, I didn't just join, my network went off, and so I just came back again. Thank you very much for that very insightful and informative presentation, Ma. So my question is, understanding that, first of all, my first question is this: understanding that counterfeit products are products that are produced by alien infringers.
Yeah.
That is the intention to benefits of a particular product through creating substandard products. My question is, what about substandard products created by the original producers of that particular product? Because I've seen situations where you tell a particular company or a production agency to to send you a sample of a particular product, and they send you that sample in a very good condition. And then when you demand or order for that product, they give you products of lesser quality. So my first question is, substandard products and counterfeit products, how are they? Is there a similarity between them, or are they two entirely different things? Then my second question is this: as regards litigation, when suing a particular manufacturer or an agency for a particular product that you ordered or you paid for, is it possible to make organizations like the Standard Organization of Nigeria, NAFDAC, and similar bodies that are charged with the duties of ensuring that these products are fit for consumption and of merchantable and for commercial distribution? Is it possible to make them, the organizations like this, privy to the contract, privy to the suit, that is a party rather to that suit, and knowing that also companies, real manufacturers, original manufacturers of products can also make counterfeited products? And like you said when you were making your presentation, that it is very difficult sometimes to know the difference between these products. And if, for example, in negligence of organizations like this, where they accept or where they approve of a particular product, and then the product turns out to result in harm or other forms of negative results, or, for example, where a particular set of products are approved and new productions are made of counterfeited or lesser standard. And in that situation, is it possible to make organizations like this a party to the particular suit? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, let me just attempt. I think I do. So what I hear you saying, the two questions are actually related in a way. The first one, you said, is counterfeiting the same as substandard goods? So if, for instance, you bought something, they advertise something good and they put it, then when you now request for it, they send you substandard. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So in that case, unless if it's done by, if it's done by, if it's done by somebody else, then who is not the business owner, then it's counterfeiting. They've gone to do a lower standard of what you have done. Remember that we used to have, or they still have, a gray goods. There was a time they will put something and say, if you like Nintendo, you will like this. So it's like, just like generic drugs, you have branded drugs like Pfizer, then you have some generic drugs by Zambazi or something, some Indian countries, the Indian companies. It's not as if it's bad or dangerous, but it's if the Pfizer branded drug will take 2 hours to work, this one will take 3 days. So it's your standard, the one you can afford. If you want the branded one that is like $1,000, fine. Then if you can't, you can get the generic one that is about $10. So the branded ones have been chasing the generic one, but it's another argument for another day. And governments are pushing, especially governments like us in Africa and India, where the population is much and we can afford all the branded one. So it's just to give context to your question that it can be done by the same company, depending on what you ask for, and they're both good, but the one you can afford. If it's, however, done by a counterfeiter, that's when you can go through the process we said, report, and then chase them, is wrong. But if it's deceitful, somebody puts something online, like I said, that part of the harm that individuals suffer is that you don't get what you bargained for. You've seen it, picture, it looks well, and you ask for it, they now bring you something that doesn't reflect or resemble what you asked for, then you can return it. And then to link it to your question as to what you can do to these organizations, can you, when you're suing, the organization like NAFDAC, I know that sometimes with infringement, by the way, infringement is different from counterfeiting. Counterfeiting is a crime and infringement is a civil action that you go after. So if we are dealing with, for instance, infringement, which is easier because that one, you see that somebody is trying to infringe on your product. They have their own company, but they want to reap where they did not sow. But at least you know them, you can go after them. With the organized networks, you don't know them. They are faceless, they are thieves. That's why it's a crime. So with this one that you know, yes, to your question, whether you can add or join the organizations. In some cases, if trademark registry had gone ahead to give a certificate of registration to somebody who is infringing a brand, the brand owner can sue the infringer and add the trademark registry as the second defendant. By the way, the reason the trademark registry issued the certificate might not be due to their own mistake. It might be that the brand owner was not looking and missed opposition. So you didn't tell them. You did not, when you saw it publish, you didn't go to say that, no, I oppose this application. Then the registrar can stop it, will not issue the certificate. But if you don't do that and the registrar has no way of knowing, unless if you're a well-known mark like Coca-Cola or Rolex, of course, they know how Rolex looks like. And then if somebody from my village, Mr. Nwankwonan, tries to register Rolex, so they say they will know that one for well-known marks, fine. But if they do not know, they can't stop it. And you can't blame them because if they've issued the certificate, they now become functionally sufficient. They cannot withdraw the certificate because how do you think that you give a certificate to Mr. A, he has gone, then you tell him to return it? Of course, he won't return it. But what the registrar can do is to take it from records of the registry, which is why the best advice a lawyer can give to a brand owner is whatever you do with your certificate, come back to the registry to record up to date. If you assigned it, if you licensed it, if you renewed, it must be there. There must be record. So if the registry now, because they've become functionally official, they can't hold back the certificate. After 7 years, it falls due for renewal. The person can come. If he comes, you don't have a record. In fact, we don't have a record that your trademark is registered because it's been expunged from the records of the registry. So anything you want to do with somebody, be it business, maybe franchising, and you're starting business, they show you certificate, say, let's go and get extra from the registry to make sure what they're giving you is still what is there. So that's the only way you can join and sue. But be careful, you can't go and sue. People have threatened to sue NAFDAC. But be careful, how do you sue your regulator? You need to, I think dialogue is good. If you sue them over case A, tomorrow you're going to have case B. How do you go back to the people you have taken to court? What's the relationship? So I think dialogue is key. That's the way to go. Did I answer your question?
I think his network got him logged off. Thank you so much for your time, Ma. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. We are very appreciative of your presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask if Ms. Juliana has any other announcement.
Can I?
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much for saying yes to the meeting. Thank you for always coming. We always love your presentations. Thank you, Regina, too, for coming. Thank you for this counterfeiting lecture because someone just told me about it and the person was like, this is something that people need to know about. And I was like, oh, we have a counterfeiting expert in our midst. So I quickly sent you an email to that effect. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much. And have a lovely weekend. And for your meeting subsequently, we wish you all the best, Ma.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Yes, Ma.
Thank you, Regina. So we'll stop in here. Yes, Regina. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll be stopping here for today because Mrs. Uche has another meeting to go for. Mr. Folari is not around and Mr. Max is not around, and it would be good for them to get the presentations. so that they can make the best input what has been presented. So we'll end here for today. Next week, we have someone coming to speak on blockchain and cryptocurrency and all that, and it's how it affects IP and all that, or how where the intersection lies. So thank you very much for staying. Try to submit your assignments for those who did not submit their assignments. So we'll see next week Friday. Thank you, Bernice. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Your first like your first anchoring is just amazing. So you are very good at it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, John. Have an amazing weekend. Bye.
Okay, bye.